Have you ever wondered why some women choose to be incredibly generous with their bodies, sometimes even going as far as sharing deeply personal, intimate acts that many people hesitate to talk about? What if there's a hidden reason that goes far beyond mere physical pleasure, something that quietly shapes a woman's emotional bond and sense of security? It's easy to assume that these private moments come from lust or routine, but for many, there's an unspoken world of emotion and trust at play. In this video, we'll explore the overlooked emotional core of intimacy and how uncovering it could forever change the way you think about closeness in a relationship. Stay with me, because what we're about to reveal might completely shift your perspective on why some women are eager to share these moments while others withdraw. Surprisingly, the most powerful element behind physical intimacy often has less to do with the act itself and more to do with the emotional signals whispered underneath. A woman might take part in an act like oral intimacy not simply because of physical urges, but because she wants to express an unspoken bond with someone she trusts. It's a gesture of vulnerability, of placing her complete confidence in someone who she hopes cherishes her enough to honor that trust. When you consider it that way, the question shifts from why would she do that to what does she feel safe enough to share? It's an emotional exchange beyond fleeting desire. These experiences reveal a tapestry of hidden motivations, real closeness, acknowledgement, and validation. Ask yourself this: if a woman isn't feeling emotionally seen or valued, would she be willing to go that extra mile to please her partner? Most often the answer is no. These intimate actions are about bridging an emotional gap. They're small, tender confirmations that say, I see you and I trust you to see me. That's why so many relationships hinge on the emotional undercurrent. When a woman's emotional reservoir is filled with warmth, understanding, and genuine affection, she's more open. But the moment that reservoir dries up, even basic tenderness can feel forced. And here's where so many couples get stuck. They assume a decrease in physical closeness is about physical issues. Rarely is that the root. Often it's her quiet way of signaling, I need us to reconnect where it really matters, our hearts. Trust is the unspoken backbone of every deeply satisfying bond. Think about it. In moments of vulnerability, the mind cries out for reassurance. For a woman, genuine trust isn't just about believing her partner is faithful. It's about feeling emotionally protected. She needs to know that expressing her desires or giving that part of herself won't be mocked, exploited, or taken for granted. This is why emotional connection has such a profound effect on physical closeness. Once trust blooms, the pathway to exploration and giving becomes natural. But how does one foster this kind of trust? Simple gestures matter. Listening with genuine interest when she talks about her day's signals what you feel and think is important to me. Standing up for her when she's treated unfairly cements her belief that you have her back. Even small words of affirmation, like, I admire how you handled that stressful situation, can open doorways to a deeper bond. Because once a woman believes, he truly cares about my well-being, she can open herself to more intimate, personal moments without second-guessing. But that's only part of it. Emotional connection thrives on consistency. Earning trust is like tending a garden. One day of sunshine won't keep the flowers alive. They need regular nourishment. Show up. Remind her she's more than a role, more than a spouse, mother, or friend. Let her see she's valued for who she is, not just for what she does. Doing so consistently is like pouring water into that emotional reservoir. Fill it each day and watch how her desire to share her closeness grows. One of the most widespread misconceptions is that women who pull away physically just lose interest or get bored. Often, that's not the real story. Many men overlook the critical need for emotional reinforcement. They may provide for their families by gifts or even say, I love you, but they forget that intangible element, making her feel important on a daily basis. Take the scenario of a husband who thinks, I do everything. I pay bills, handle household tasks, and make time for her on weekends. What more does she want? It isn't about a checklist. It's about heartfelt connection. Does she feel heard when she voices her frustrations? Do you remember the small details she shares about her life? Do you empathize with her struggles instead of providing a quick fix or critique? Emotional disconnection creeps up in subtle ways. Often, a woman won't verbally complain about feeling ignored. She'll just stop initiating closeness. She might not say, I'm upset you don't ask about my day, but her eyes might lose that sparkle when you enter the room. And as time goes on, that distance becomes a silent wedge, making even the thought of intimacy feel hollow or forced. Here's another major misunderstanding. Believing that if you're doing something sweet on special occasions, Valentine's Day or an anniversary, that it's enough to keep her heart brimming with affection. Yes, big gestures are lovely, but they're not nearly as impactful as the day-to-day. Consistently checking in on how she's feeling, surprising her with a thoughtful text, or showing gratitude for the little ways she improves your life matter infinitely more than any elaborate once-a-year display. Many years ago, I sat down with a remarkable woman who was well into her 90s. She had witnessed the rise and fall of countless marriages among her friends, children, and grandchildren. When asked about why some couples remain passionate into old age while others drift into distant companionship, her answer was surprisingly direct. She shared, "It's simple, really. If a woman believes you'd protect her soul as carefully as you'd guard your own, she'll give you everything, even the parts of herself you think she's too shy to share." That statement cuts to the heart of the matter. She wasn't talking about finances or looks. She was talking about emotional protection, feeling safe, heard, respected, and cherished. It reminded me of something we often forget. The depth of a woman's willingness to engage intimately, even in acts that seem surprising or unmentionable, can be traced to a basic human need, to be wholeheartedly accepted. The older woman also stressed the power of honest, gentle conversation. If you can lay your hearts bare, you'll never find reason to hide your bodies. Think about that for a moment. Vulnerability begets vulnerability. When you show your partner you're unafraid to reveal your emotional truths, your insecurities, hopes, and affection, she finds a stronger sense of confidence in doing the same for you. And when two people meet in the middle like that, a different level of closeness emerges. Most of us love the idea of emotional security, but how do you practice it every day? After all, it's easy to say, "I want to make her feel special," but it's harder to translate that into consistent habits. Luckily, you don't need complex strategies or expensive presents, just a willingness to show up and pay attention. Intentional words. Every time you open your mouth, you have the chance to deposit emotional currency into your partner's heart. Instead of a generic, "You look nice. Try. I love how that outfit shows off your glow. You're radiant today." Notice something about her demeanor, her energy, or her spirit. When your praise is specific, it shows you're truly noticing her, far beyond the surface. Non-goal-driven touch. Women can sense when touch is purely a means to a bigger end. It's a turn-off. Aim for small, spontaneous gestures of affection. Holding her hand as you pass in the hallway, a warm hug from behind while she's cooking, or a soft kiss on her forehead, just because you felt like it. When these touches become routine, she starts to feel, "He wants me close, not just for a specific purpose, but because he enjoys my presence." Mindful listening. Ask her about her day, and then be present. Turn off distractions. Look into her eyes, and really absorb her words. When she talks about her frustrations or little victories, follow up with empathetic questions. "That sounds challenging. How did it make you feel?" Or, "Wow, that's great news. What do you think made it happen?" This signals genuine care. Consistency over big surprises. Grand gestures, like lavish vacations, may impress momentarily, but don't necessarily cultivate day-to-day closeness. If you truly want her heart to feel safe, be the consistent presence that she can rely on. A thoughtful note on the bathroom mirror, a comforting text during her lunch break, or brewing her favorite tea in the evening all add up. Over time, these deposits create a well of trust that encourages deeper intimacy. When these small efforts become second nature, you'll notice subtle changes in her behavior. She might initiate a hug more often, lean into you when you sit together, or even talk more openly about her deepest thoughts. That's her unspoken way of saying, "I feel safe with you." And once that feeling takes root, the gateway to deeper acts of closeness opens wide. Consider the story of Alex and Maria. For years, they struggled with a fading spark. Alex noticed Maria had grown distant. She rarely initiated affectionate gestures and declined his advances more often than not. Hurt and frustrated, Alex assumed Maria was simply too busy or disinterested. But deep inside, Maria felt unheard. After a particularly tense argument, Alex tried a different approach. Daily check-ins about Maria's emotional state. Whenever she seemed upset, instead of going into fix-it mode, he'd say, "I'm here to listen if you want to share. No pressure." He also started leaving small notes in her work bag, reminding her that she mattered to him. Slowly, Maria's walls came down. She began to confide in him again. Her stress at work, her fears about finances, and her sense of being taken for granted. Alex made it a point to validate her feelings rather than dismiss them. Within a couple of months, their physical closeness began to blossom again. Maria felt acknowledged. Her desire to express that affection through intimate acts revived. She found herself eager to connect with Alex because he was no longer just a husband. He became her safe haven. It's a living testament that re-sparking intimacy isn't about bigger diamonds or fancier date nights. It's about forging a bond that says, "I see you, I hear you, I value what you feel." Stories like these highlight a crucial truth. Often, when emotional walls come down, two people rediscover the playful spark they once had. Moments of intimacy become a mutual celebration, not an obligation. And that's where the real magic lies, when closeness feels like an invitation rather than a demand. There's a widespread myth that a man must look a certain way or be a certain age to maintain a partner's interest. While staying healthy is important for overall well-being, chasing youth or feeling insecure about natural aging overlooks a more critical truth. Emotional resonance is timeless. A woman who feels valued doesn't suddenly lose interest because your hair has turned gray or your waistline isn't what it used to be. She's drawn to the confident vulnerability you bring to the relationship. When you're willing to show genuine care, empathy, and unwavering respect, that outshines any superficial factor. What about performance anxiety or feeling like you need to be physically perfect? Reality check. Confidence stems from emotional grounding, not from gym stats. This also applies to financial status and lifestyle. If a woman craves deep emotional security, no amount of money can replace the affirmation she receives from open communication. And while big gestures can be fun, they can't hold a candle to that moment when you remember a tiny detail she mentioned weeks ago and bring it up at just the right time. That kind of attentiveness is priceless. It says, "You matter enough for me to remember." So even if you don't have the biggest bank account or the freshest wardrobe, you can still ignite a sense of closeness by being attuned to her emotional world. What if true closeness doesn't have to be a never-ending chase of new techniques, new date spots, or new ways to impress? The missing link for many couples is empathy, raw, unfiltered understanding of the other person's emotional landscape. When a woman feels genuinely heard and seen, the rest comes naturally. It's almost as if intimacy becomes a byproduct of feeling truly safe. Try asking her, "Do you feel seen in this relationship?" Then allow the moment to unfold. She might pause. Maybe she's not used to being asked. She might get emotional. She might even struggle to find the words. But your simple willingness to ask and to listen without rushing in with solutions or dismissals can change everything. Once she realizes you're present, truly fully present, her guard starts to drop. She doesn't have to protect herself from ridicule or brush off your attempts at closeness because she trusts that you aren't just trying to get something. Instead, she feels your support. From there, it's like flipping on a switch. The once forgotten spark of desire can ignite quickly, often taking both partners by pleasant surprise. You might think that's too simple, yet relationships all around us prove this concept daily. People who make an intentional effort to see, hear, and validate one another often enjoy a closeness that feels almost effortless. No more second guessing or working on attraction. When two hearts resonate on the same emotional wavelength, the physical aspect comes alive naturally. So what does it all boil down to? Real intimacy, whether it involves playful gestures, deeper acts of physical closeness, or simply holding hands more often, stems from emotional authenticity. When a woman believes she's safe to open her heart, she'll gladly share more of herself physically. It's never just about superficial appeal or extravagant grandstanding. It's about trust, connection, and being valued for who she is at her core. Ask yourself this. If you could make one small change right now to ensure your partner feels seen and cherished, what would it be? Maybe it's offering genuine compliments that go deeper than looks. Maybe it's touching her gently without expecting anything in return. Perhaps it's just listening, a radical, undistracted listening where you prioritize her thoughts.